Kia ora. We are now almost 4 months down the road since our Vision Sunday, and so now is a good time for us to give an update on where things are at. If you're new to the Street Church, we are one church that has met in 3 locations: City, East and Night. East and Night have, over the last few months, continued to meet in their usual venues. Night in small and large gatherings, and East in Miramar. But our City location has experienced some major changes. Leading up to Vision Sunday in early May, you may remember that City had been meeting in smaller gatherings right across the Wellington region. And we really sensed with the elders that the Lord may be showing us a better way to launch new locations. And since then, City has been meeting in local services every week in our buildings in Mount Victoria, as well as in the Hutt Valley, in Porirua and in Karori, which we're calling West. So, Jerram, I wonder, could you tell us what's been going on since then?
Yeah, totally. It's been a truly amazing couple of months, seeing the way these gatherings are thriving, and obviously doesn't come without its challenges, right? When you take a congregation and you ask them to change how they gather. But I think one of the things that comes to mind the most is this phrase, this refrain I hear so often from people, is that I've never felt so connected to church in my life.
Wow.
Never felt so connected to the people that I'm worshiping with. And that for us is just a massive win, right? A place where people can gather and come and be known. And I think largely that's because of the people are gathering locally with people in their neighborhoods, realizing that they're meeting people that they've worshipped with for years but didn't know they were down the road.
Yeah.
But also in the smaller settings, when you not have 300-400 people in one place, but 60 to 100, you see the same people, you talk to the same people week after week, and that just helps strengthen those connections. I think shared lunches, it's a really simple thing, but it's been a really profound thing, I think, for our services. Chances for people to hang around afterwards, share a meal, and get to know one another. I think particularly at Mount Victoria, that's been a really big part of it, because it just hasn't been able to be done before. There's so many people will remember the 9 and the 11 a.m. 9 o'clockers had to clear out, get out of the car park so the 11 o'clockers could come in.
Make way for the others.
Yeah, there was just no room. But now there is. And a couple of weeks ago at the last shared lunch, I had to kick people out of the building so I could get home and see my family. It's a good problem to have. In the Hutt Valley, we're seeing overflow already from the connections that are being made to other discipleship opportunities. There's a group of guys that are meeting to go through systematic theology with Bryce Williams, and that has come as a result of the connection and relationships that have been built there. And Bryce's wife Liv doing the same with the Women's Mosaic Bible Study.
Wow.
So it's great seeing that next step. It's truly wonderful. Porirua, we had a baptism service there a few weeks ago, which was just amazing. Celebrate baptisms for what they are.
100%.
But I had this moment in the morning where I remembered what we'd discussed months and months ago before Vision Sunday, that we wanted to know that come August, middle of winter, dark, cold, wet, windy morning, would people still get up early to set up the chairs, to set up worship? Would they still have the enthusiasm and eagerness once the novelty had worn off? And I got there early that morning, and it was an awful Wellington day. But there were about a dozen people there just beaming.
Wow.
There was no drudgery. It was just, you just looked at them and you could tell, wow, they want to be here. The sacrifice to get up early on an awful day, but it was joyful. And I'm like, man, that is so wonderful that they are willing to do that for the sake of the gathered church. It was a wonderful time.
And the cost of getting baptised that day, right?
Totally.
They got baptised outside, freezing cold water, shock as they came up again.
100%. And in that too, Gareth Kearney and his family, they were chucking in urn after urn of boiling water to try and take the edge off, but I don't think it worked.
It did help. Robert said it was warmer than the ocean. So.
Which is a win, right? But those moments are just so precious. And I remember in that room that day, there was just a sense of we're family. We're all from here. We're all. It's in some ways it's so hard to explain, but it's just there's something different about it. And West, the lovely West, gathering in that old Beauchamp Street chapel. the past couple of weeks, what I've been celebrating is I've heard from a few different people. There's just a next step in worship, in the presence of God in that place with such a stripped back mode of doing worship.
Yeah.
Joe Costa, Toby Jackson, Helen Mussand have just done an amazing job leading that gathering in such a humble, gentle, just God-focused way where all they want is Him. And it's impacting people, which is amazing.
Wow.
And I could go on for ages, but even seeing needs where needs may not have been met before or seen before. One of our gatherings, group of people banded together just to bless a family going through a rough time, just with some financial support. Saw a need and met it. It's beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah. And so you've seen the sort of up in worship and the in and community. Are we seeing the out as well?
Yeah, 100%. And for us, I hope we've communicated that well, but we've talked about it a lot, is that's one of the main reasons is we want to be out meeting that need. But I think we've also said that in order for that to happen well, we need to have a strong group of people meeting, that sense of identity.
Yeah, great.
And what I'm celebrating now is, again, that similar to the phrase I've heard before around people feeling connected, what I'm also hearing is people going, man, I have so much more of a burden for my community.
Yeah.
Like it's not a sense of just, I live here, but wow, this is my community.
Yeah.
I love this place.
Yeah.
And they've got their heads up and they're looking out, man, what are the needs? We had a prayer meeting in Karori a few weeks ago, and it was supposed to be about the gathering and efficiency and how we improve things, but it just quickly turned into, man, what's going on in Karori?
Yeah.
How do we bless this place? Nice. And so that's where we want to go, and I see that a really positive step in that deep sense of empathy. We look at Jesus when he looked at Jerusalem, he wept, he could see what the city needed, and I think that's the first step that we're seeing now. People across our gatherings going, man, I'm feeling something, and that's something I'm celebrating for sure.
That's awesome.
Jerram, so many good stories, and yet it's also fair to say that there's some real tension in this new way of gathering. I know some of us are missing friends that we used to see every week, and that children don't always get to gather in sort of a large peer group like they might have done at some point at City. We really want to hear today that we're experiencing those challenges too, and we do understand.
And we also want to say thank you so much to everyone who has entered the dialogue and given feedback to us over the past months. Your feedback is helping shape where we're heading, and we'd love to hear from more of you as this discernment process continues. If you've got comments that you'd like to make, please email city@thestreet.org.nz or get in touch with your lead pastor.
Yeah. So where are we going from here? It's a question, right? We said that we would use 2022 to discern whether these local services should become permanent, full locations of the street. We spent time talking together and seeking God for the best way forward. That's what we're looking for, the best way forward. And recently, we feel like we've made progress on this next step. And together with the elders, we've agreed that one of the things we want to characterize our church going forward is to be a church that is locally present.
This means our goal is we are present throughout Wellington, making the community of the church accessible and welcoming to anyone. Our gatherings, both small and large, are vibrant and faith-filled. On the one hand, this is not much of an announcement. Right. We embarked on a multi-site strategy a long time ago, and it's fair to say that progress stalled once Easter night were launched. This recent step reaffirms the sense of call that we have had before.
And however, it is also a bit more than this. We've said that it's sort of not an announcement in some ways, and yet it also is. We're saying that we believe the Lord is leading us to have locations in these new areas and potentially in the northern suburbs as well. These groups are going from strength to strength, and it's true that we need to keep learning together. It therefore means that the question is not if we want to head in this direction, but how, and whether it's even possible. The reality is we don't have a long line of ready and willing lead pastors to step into the leadership of a location that looks the same as East and Night and City have looked. Nevertheless, in these local services, we're seeing glimpses of what's possible. You heard it in Jerram's stories. And there seems to be some momentum around them, people willing to turn up, in the middle of winter and keep doing the same thing. And so what we therefore now need to work on is to understand the nature of leadership that we could put in place that would enable these services to become fully fledged locations. And so the discernment process we said we were on this year is continuing, but it also enters right now a new stage.
Yeah, so what's our next step? Well, we've got some ideas of what that leadership could look like. And we now need to work closely with the local leaders and their teams at each of the services to make sure that we've understood the issues and whether our ideas could actually work in practice. I know you may have questions coming out of this. Tomorrow we'll be sending an email to the whole of the street with an FAQs document that Jerram has put together. If your question isn't answered in that document, talk to your lead pastor, or you can get in touch at city@thestreet.org.nz and we'll be able to help you. But we'll also make sure we give more regular updates as we continue to move through 2022.
Yeah, it's fair to say, I think we've missed that up until now, so we just wanted to try and correct that from here on. But for now, can I encourage you seriously to pray about this? I don't say that loosely or because it's just token. I really, really mean it. We believe God is continuing to call us to be strong and courageous, to trust that even though we don't know what the future holds, that He does. We need Him to continue to open doors and make a way for us as we seek to fulfill the mission that He's given us as a church in the particular way we feel He's calling us to do that right now.